In a world where January is supposed to be boring, one staple of the holidays refuses to end. The great deals at Verizon. The joy just keeps on coming. Right now, you can save on 4 new phones and 4 lines. Critics agree it's the deal that keeps on giving. Come into Verizon and save on 4 new phones and 4 lines on unlimited welcome. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
What does it mean to live a rich life? It means brave first leaps, tearful goodbyes, and everything in between. With over 100 years' experience navigating the ups and downs of the market and of life, your Edward Jones financial advisor will be there to help you move ahead with confidence. Because with all you've done to find your rich, we'll do all we can to help you keep enjoying it. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Whispering Woods podcast. I'm on my own this week because these are pre-recorded, and it's just before Christmas. And I became a bit unstuck just before Christmas because I had to go to the hospital and have an ECG and stuff, so I couldn't record with Toby before he went to his dad. So it's just me, and I want to say everything's fine. It was just a precaution thing. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where for £2.50 a month, you can listen to all of the Whispering Woods episodes ad-free, and for £4.50 a month, you can listen to the Whispering Woods and the After Dark episodes ad-free. We're also on Apple Premium, where for $4.99 a month, you can listen to all episodes ad-free. And I just want to do a little reminder again that we are going to try YouTube sometime this month. We're going to start with the Reddit episode. So it'll be me and Rog doing that episode. I will also be doing it as a podcast, as normal. But if you like watching stuff on YouTube, it's probably going to be a longer version on YouTube. Not for any reason apart from that I'll probably leave a bit more of the chat in between on the YouTube episodes and not cut so much out. Right, that being said, I'll get straight into it. Now, this episode is all about the Pukwudgie. Are you ready for the story? The hour was well past midnight on a cold New England night. A lone man trudged down a quiet road in Raynham, Massachusetts, his breath fogging the air as his dog trotted beside him. The darkness was thick around the trees and power lines on the roadside. Suddenly the dog stopped, ears pricked. From somewhere ahead, out of the edge of the woods, came a strange high-pitched wail. The man froze. In the silent emptiness, a voice cried out, sing-song words that made no sense. Iwachu, Iwachu, Kier, Kier. A shiver ran through him. It sounded almost like language, but not any he understood. Childlike, urgent, and alien in the dark. Heart-pounding, he squinted toward the trees. Then he saw it. A small figure stepped forward into the dim orange glow of a street lamp. It was only about 3 feet tall, covered in scruffy brown hair with a pot belly and an aged, almost wizened face. Its eyes never left him. The being's long-fingered hand was raised, and it was beckoning. The dog let out a low whine. The man felt an icy dread. The tiny creature kept repeating its call and gesturing for him to come closer. For a moment, he found himself almost drawn forward, feet shuffling, but an overwhelming sense of danger flooded through him. "No," he whispered, voice caught in his throat. Gathering his nerve, he yanked on the lead and backed away, never taking his eyes off the figure. The creature's glowing gaze followed him. Man and dog turned and hurried the way they'd come, walking as fast as they dared. The strange chanting fell silent. By the time he dared to glance over his shoulder, the little hairy figure had vanished. Only later, safe at home, and trembling behind his locked doors, would the man replay that voice in his mind and realise what it had been trying to say. "Iwachu, we want you. Here, come here." A chill settled over him. In that moment, under the street lamp, something inhuman had invited him into the darkness, and he knew in his bones that had he followed, he might never returned. This frightening encounter is not an isolated ghost story, but part of a much older pattern. New England's woods are said to hide Pukwudgies, elusive little wild men of the forest. The name Pukwudgie roughly translates to little white man of the woods that vanishes, a term originating from the Wampanoag people of Massachusetts. Standing only 2 to 3 feet tall, Pukwudgies are often described as troll-like or goblin-like humanoids with enlarged features and smoothish, greyish skin or fur. In some folklore, their appearance is said to be quite strange. One account claims that from the back they resemble a walking porcupine, while from the front they look like a half-human, half-troll creature that walks upright. Their ears are large and pointed, their noses long, and they sometimes wear tattered, archaic clothing. Whatever their form, they are consummate shapeshifters. Pukwudgies can appear and disappear at will, transform into animals or other beings, and even turn into lights to confuse travellers. They move silently and with uncanny speed, melting into the landscape. In the folklore of the Wampanoag and other Algonquin tribes, Pukwudgies occupy a fickle and dangerous role. They were not always the enemy of humans. Legends say that long ago, these little people lived in harmony with native people, but a great betrayal sundered that peace. According to one Wampanoag story, the tribe's beloved cultural hero, the giant Moorshop, earned so much of the people's love that the Pukwudgies grew jealous of the devotion and affection the natives showed him. Spiteful, the Pukwudgies began to torment the Wampanoag, playing nasty tricks, causing mishaps, and sowing chaos out of malice. Moorshop eventually lost patience with the wicked little men. The legend says he exiled the Pukwudgies, scattering them far from the people. The exile did not end the Pukwudgies' menace. It only ignited their fury. The vengeful Pukwudgies turned fully against humans. In some versions, they took a gruesome revenge on Moorship himself. Banding together, the Pukwudgies ambushed and killed his 5 sons. And some stories even state that the tiny fiends managed to slay the giant Moorshop and his wife in the end. Native elders passed down stern warnings about these creatures. The Wampanoag and other tribes insisted Pukwudgies are best left alone. If you ever see one, you do not approach or antagonize it. For those who disrespect a Pukwudgie, the price is steep. The small folk delight in retaliation. They may plague you with mischief at best, or at worst, follow you and curse your life with misery. Early colonial writings and oral law describe Pukwudgies as mischievous at best and outright malevolent at worst. These are not the cheeky, harmless pixies of European fairy tales. They are something far darker. They are known to kidnap people, to lure wanderers to deadly ends, to push victims off cliffs, and to attack with sharp knives and spears. Pukwudgies carry poison-tipped arrows in some legends, which they shoot or blow as darts to fell those who anger them. They are even said to blind victims by throwing sand in their eyes before delivering a fatal attack. And the Pukwudgies' powers go beyond the physical. They are sorcerers and fire starters. They can conjure mysterious flames at will. Some say these ghostly fires or floating lights, similar to will-o'-the-wisps, are used to lead travellers astray in the woods. With their arsenal of tricks and dark magic, it's no wonder the indigenous people feared and respected the Pukwudgie. Some folklore even suggests a spiritual aspect to these creatures. A Wampanoag belief states that Pukwudgies can command the spirits of the humans they have killed, turning the ghosts of their victims into servants called Taipaiwankas. Whether literal or metaphorical, this idea underscores the malevolence attributed to the Pukwudgie. They do not just kill, they seek to dominate the souls of their foes. Though these tales are ancient, the Pukwudgie is far from a forgotten relic of myth. Still to this day, stories persist of encounters with small wild men in the woods of America. The creatures described match the old legends in detail. In fact, sightings of Pukwudgie-like beings have been reported in multiple states of America, as if Moorshot's banishment scattered them across the continent. In the wooded swamps of Massachusetts, especially the infamous Bridgewater Triangle area, many have claimed to see or hear something that recalls the Pukwudgie. Far to the west, in the Great Lakes and Midwest, the Ojibwe and other tribes had their own little people legends, similar to Pukwudgies, and modern reports pop up there too. Even Indiana has its Pukwudgie lore. The legend made its way to the Lenape people, and today locals around Mound State Park along the White River say that small troll-like figures lurk in the forested mounds. Prince Edward Island in Canada and sections of Delaware also have stories of little forest men that vanish like smoke. And in recent years, new encounters have emerged from places you wouldn't expect, even suburban backyards and bedrooms, suggesting these creatures aren't confined to remote wilderness. Despite our modern skepticism, people continue to come forward with tales of Pukwudgie encounters. One crisp fall evening, a woman named Joan took her dog for a routine walk in the Freetown State Forest of Massachusetts. The sun had just set, and a dim grey light lingered under the canopy of oaks and pines. As Joan strolled down a familiar trail, she suddenly became aware of a presence in the trees. The dog's ears perked, and a low growl rose in its throat. Following her pet's gaze, Joan looked to the side of the path and felt her stomach tighten. Someone, or something, was watching her from the gloom between the trunks. At first she discerned only a pair of eyes, deep-set and glinting green in the shadows. Then the figure stepped out, just enough for her to see it clearly. It was a small humanoid creature, perhaps 2 feet tall, with ashen grey skin. Its body was oddly proportioned, the limbs short and wiry. Joan could see 2 slender arms covered in coarse hair and a shaggy mop of hair on its oversized head. The creature's face was almost human, but not quite. The nose was long, the eyes too large and unblinking. Those eyes, a luminous green, bore into her with unsettling intent. The being stood there at the forest's edge, staring at Joan unflinchingly with those deep green eyes. It neither smiled nor snarled. It just watched, as if judging whether or how to act. Joan's dog began to bark nervously. This broke the silence. Fear spiked in Joan's chest. She realised this was not a child and it wasn't a costume. It matched the description of beings she'd only heard of in folklore. She yanked on the leash and backed away. The figure did not pursue, but its eyes followed her every step. Joan retreated down the trail, not daring to turn her back fully on the creature. Only when she was nearly out of the woods did the small watcher finally fade back into the undergrowth. Joan rushed home, hoping that was the end of it. But the Pukwudgie had other plans. In the following days, she had the uneasy feeling of being watched around her own property. One night, as an autumn rain tapped on the leaves, Joan awoke to a new sound, a faint tapping on her bedroom window. It was slow and insistent. Swallowing her fear, she forced herself to peek through the glass. Nothing was there, just darkness and the reflection of her own frightened face. On another occasion, she heard a scratching and a soft knock at the back door. Each time she investigated, she caught only a fleeting glimpse of a small grey figure darting away into the night. The Pukwudgie had followed her home. Joan's nerves were stretched to the limit. It was as though the creature enjoyed tormenting her with its presence. There is an old warning that once a Pukwudgie notices you, it may follow you and cause you endless trouble. Terrified and unsure what to do, Joan contacted a local expert on Massachusetts folklore. He knew immediately what she was describing. "It sounds like a Pukwudgie," he told her gravely. His advice was as old as the legend itself. Leave it alone. Do not acknowledge or engage with the creature. Do not antagonize it. If you ignore a Pukwudgie, he said, eventually it should lose interest and slip away back to wherever it came from. It was hard for Joan to relax, knowing some malevolent little thing was skulking around her garden at night. But she heeded the advice. She stopped investigating the noises, stopped talking about it constantly, and tried to carry on as if nothing was happening. Sure enough, after some nerve-fraying weeks, the disturbances stopped. The taps and scratches ended, and the green-eyed watcher in the woods did not show itself again. Joan's encounter left her rattled and convinced that the old Wampanoag legends are more than just stories. She had looked into the eyes of that legend herself. She couldn't shake the thought of how intelligent and calculated the Pukwudgie's behaviour seemed. It hadn't lunged to attack or harm her outright. Instead, it had lingered, observed, and instilled dread. Perhaps as a prelude to worse things. Joan considers herself lucky. Not everyone who locks eyes with a Pukwudgie gets to walk away unscathed. And as Joan would learn, others in New England have had encounters with these creatures, escalated far beyond tapping on the window. In northern Connecticut, near the edge of a crumbling farmstead, hemmed in by thick, second-growth forest, a man named Russ was patching up his eastern boundary one summer evening. He worked the land mostly alone. The place had been in his family since the 1930s, and he swore the eastern woods had always felt off. His grandfather had once called it a no-go patch, said the forest out there had a memory and that he didn't like to be disturbed. Russ had never given much weight to that kind of talk, until the night the woods laughed. It was just before dusk when it started. He was hammering a loose board back into place when a sharp ping of gravel hit the metal gate beside him. He looked up, expecting to see a deer kicking loose stones, or maybe a coyote testing boundaries. But there was nothing, just the edge of the trees and the deepening dark between them. Then the laugh came, high, breathy and fast. Not a child's laugh, but something close enough to make the hairs on his neck stand up. He shouted out, something like, "Hey, that's enough," thinking maybe a neighbour's kid was messing about. No response. Then another stone clicked his boot. Another struck the gate, rapid now, deliberate. Russ stepped back from the fence and scanned the woods. That's when he saw it. Just 10 feet beyond the tree line, crouched low behind a patch of bramble. It was small, no bigger than a toddler. But wrong. Its limbs were too long, skin almost translucent in the fading light, stretched tight over a hunched body. The head was oversized, its dark eyes reflecting a strange shimmer, and its grin was thin and sharp. Russ locked eyes with it for maybe 3 seconds before it skittered sideways behind a tree, without ever standing upright. The laughter started again, circling this time, coming from multiple directions at once. He didn't wait. He dropped his tools and walked, didn't run, back to the house. He said he could feel it watching him the whole time. And then that night, the tapping started. First at the kitchen window, then the siding by the mudroom. Later it was the attic vent. Slow, soft taps, almost polite, almost. Russ didn't sleep. He sat up with the lights on, 12 gauge in his lap, and waited. At 4:13 a.m, he said the power cut out. The house went black. The tapping returned, faster now, all sides at once. Then silence. By sunrise, the power was back and the woods were still again. He never saw it after that. But for months, he'd find small handprints, 5-fingered, but too narrow, too long, pressed into the dust on his windows. He eventually stopped using that side of the property altogether. He told a friend once, years later, "It wasn't trying to break in. It wanted me to come out." The sun has not yet risen when she steps outside, gripping the lead of a friend's Labrador. Each early morning, the woman, let's call her Mary, brings the dog to the same secluded watershed, dense with pine and rushes, for its routine walk. On March 1st, she is sleepier than usual, still half listening to the dog's low whine as it inches ahead. When the Labrador abruptly freezes and growls, Mary spins around in the inky blackness. A pair of glowing green eyes are staring at her from under a fallen pine bough. In the dim light, she barely makes out the crouched silhouette of a small humanoid creature, only a few feet tall, hunched and covered in matted black fur. It sits perfectly still on all fours, watching. Mary's heart hammers as terror seizes her chest. Without thinking, she turns and bolts back to her car, the dog at her heels. 2 weeks later, Mary wakes in the dead of night to a tapping sound on her bedroom window. Her pulse thunders in her ears as she remembers the thing by the woods. Could it have followed her home? A frantic discussion at work the next day finally gives her a name: Pukwudgie. The co-worker shrugs, as if telling a ghost story, that these little wild men of the forest haunt southern New England. He warns that once noticed, a Pukwudgie is said to linger, but the only advice is to ignore it, and it should eventually vanish. Mary walks home from work that evening, glancing uneasily at every rustle in the shadows. It's a moonless night in 1989. 9-year-old Sarah wants to beat the neighbourhood kids to the big summer bonfire. She steps out of her house onto the edge of a small woodlot. Determined, she dashes down the narrow forest path, a shortcut through twisted pines and scrub oak that she's run 1,000 times. Only today, as she nears the clearing where the flames are just starting to flicker in the distance, she trips hard on a hidden root and tumbles face first into the dirt. Lying on the cold ground, Sarah scrambles up to brush herself off and sees it. A bold grey-skinned figure just a few feet away, curled up against a birch tree. First in the darkness, she thinks it's a human crouching, but its proportions are wrong. The creature is short, barely 3 feet tall, with coarse whiskers on its chin, wild unkempt hair above a gaunt face, and long arms tucked around its knees. As their eyes meet, Sarah's blood turns to ice. The being has a crooked grin and a sour, mangy odour. For a second, she feels utterly uneasy, as if something elemental and angry is locked in those dead-set eyes. Then, with a final terrified scream, she scrambles to her feet and sprints blindly out of the woods toward the safety of streetlights. The next morning, Sarah retraces the path with her brother in daylight. The route is nowhere to be seen, and no hollow stump lies there. Her mind scrambles for explanations. Maybe it was just a rock or a stump, she convinces herself. 30 years later, now an adult, and watching a late-night documentary about the Bridgewater Triangle, she finally realises what she saw. Her heart dropped when the narrator described the scene. A 3-foot-tall, hair-covered being trying to lure a child deeper into the wood. Did I really see one of these Pukwudgies? She said to herself, shuddering at how right her childhood instincts had felt that summer night. Late May, a couple gathers by Assawamsett Lake as twilight falls. The young man on edge feels the evening chill as he and his girlfriend wait for the rumoured mystery lights on the water. Minutes stretch in silence. He keeps glancing over his shoulder, certain someone or something is watching them. Suddenly, he sees it. Figure scuttling just behind a white oak. Heart in his throat, he snaps his head around. There, peering out, is a little man, roughly 3 feet tall. This being is unlike anything human. Wild, tangled hair exploded in every direction around its skull. A huge hooked nose and pointed ears, and a mouth pulled back in an angry sneer. Its oily skin is grey, and its eyes glow faintly in the dusk. The creature stands half hidden behind the tree, glaring at the couple as if furious. The man cannot help himself. A strangled scream rips from his throat, as every instinct screams run. He bolts across the clearing, adrenaline fueling blind speed. In seconds he reaches the car, fumbles the keys and leaps inside. Both he and his panicked girlfriend hurl in behind him as he slams the motor. A headlights cutting through the dark, but by then the small figure is gone. The man's hands still shake as he catches his breath. His friend Chad, white-faced in the passenger seat, sits trembling, staring at him in the rearview mirror. Chad whispers, "Man, I think that was a Pukwudgie. Hey, you're going to have nothing but bad luck." Within weeks, the man's life unravels. He and his girlfriend break up. He loses his apartment under mysterious circumstances, and he cannot imagine ever returning to that lake. The memory of the snarling little face stays with him. A reminder that some legends are true, and to cross the wild things at your own peril.
In a world where January is supposed to be boring, one staple of the holidays refuses to end. The great deals at Verizon. The joy just keeps on coming. Right now, you can save on 4 new phones and 4 lines. Critics agree it's the deal that keeps on giving. Come into Verizon and save on 4 new phones and 4 lines on unlimited welcome. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip: when it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Grrr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
And I know that when you think about it separately, this creature, maybe possibly to you, isn't that scary. I see something malicious. I see the evil teeth coming through at me. Those pointy teeth. Throwing stones, okay, yeah, maybe I can deal with that. But, I want to confirm as well, that last one, there was a group of them, even though I didn't explain that very well. I noticed afterwards. But there was a group of them, and he gets back in the car with his friends and girlfriend. I love it. We've got all these wild men everywhere. Some are small and some are tall. But it's a really consistent piece of folklore across the world, isn't it? Wild men. Well, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
In a world where January is supposed to be boring, one staple of the holidays refuses to end. The great deals at Verizon. The joy just keeps on coming. Right now, you can save on 4 new phones and 4 lines. Critics agree it's the deal that keeps on giving. Come into Verizon and save on 4 new phones and 4 lines on unlimited welcome. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles Mackenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Wasn't that delicious?
So good.
Your bill, ladies.
I got it. No,
I got it.
Seriously, I insist.
I insisted first.
Oh, don't be silly. You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.